12 Steps to Becoming a Better Frame Drummer by Layne Redmond. Practice plus patience equals power. Let's begin by getting to the root of the issue of being a drummer or percussionist, or perhaps any type of musician. Repetitive, obsessive behavior. I prefer behavior over disorder, but just face it, if you are a drummer, you are OCD. Obsessive, compulsive, disordered, tapper on tabletops and steering wheels, pots and pans, and anything else that has an interesting sound. However, lucky you, drumming is the perfect channel for this syndrome. In fact, you must have some shading of this within your makeup to really excel at drumming. A conventional definition of this syndrome includes repetitive, ritualized behaviors you feel compelled to perform. You are unable to resist them and break free. Well, just pick up your frame drum and pour it all into practicing. Let the incredible harmonic overtones of your frame drum bring you into a balanced and relaxed state. And speaking of relaxed, that brings us to the first rule. Relax. Number 1, figure out how to play tension-free. I've always found that walking up to a fear-stricken, tensioned-out student and saying, "Relax," serves to send them into total rock-like paralysis. So I use the word soften. Focus on teaching your body to soften while you play. If your fingers are cold, warm your hands and arms up before you play. I rub my hands and arms vigorously with a medicated dark roasted sesame oil, an Ayurvedic yoga oil treatment, and then soak in a sink of hot water. Take a dark hand towel reserved for this purpose, sesame oil is persistent, and vigorously rub dry your arms, hands, and fingers. There's not time for oil treatments. Tackling that pile of dirty dishes works great too. At first, you'll need to concentrate on relaxing your fingers, wrists, and arms as you play. But once you've accomplished that, you'll notice that perhaps your neck and shoulders, your back, or even your legs and hips are tense. Just know that tension or tightness steals energy from you. When going for playing fast and clean for a long period of time, you don't want to waste energy by keeping unnecessary tension in any muscle group. When you practice for more speed or harder techniques, try for softer or easier. Your best performance will come when you are at your most relaxed. One of the ways I work at relaxing while playing is by taking long, deep breaths timed to my rhythms. And of course, I'm practicing with my metronome. So you want to find a comfortable length of time for your deep, slow breaths. Perhaps 4 measures breathing in, or whatever's comfortable, and then 4 measures breathing out. I find that doing this type of breathing while working on more complex and faster material mysteriously changes my perception of time and actually seems to make time slow down. At first, you'll have to concentrate and practice to keep the breathing going, but soon it will become automatic and you'll just drop into your deep breathing rhythms while you play. This is so great for many reasons. It keeps you calm, keeps you relaxed, and it oxygenates your body to meet the energy needs of your muscles. One specific thing to watch out for when playing a frame drum held in your hand is no death grip. Keep the holding hand as relaxed as possible for what it needs to do. Olympic gold medalist track sprinter Carl Lewis's coach said, The faster you want to go, the more relaxed you have to be. And a quote from Bruce Lee on the subject of speed: the less effort, the faster and more powerful you will be. Step number 2, professional instruction. See your teachers on a regular basis. Don't spend all your time playing with people not as advanced as you are. This is a special warning for teachers. If you don't live within reach of a frame drum teacher, you can practice with instructional DVDs or play along with YouTube videos. There's a ton of instructional videos for many styles of frame drumming on YouTube. Step number 3, practice with a metronome. I always practice with my metronome. I love it. In fact, it's hard for me to practice seriously without one. A metronome is essential for many reasons, including A, developing memory of tempo, B, developing your internal pulse, which gives you the ability to keep solid time, C, developing the ability to record in the studio to a click track. When you get called for studio work, you're going to want to have to nail your part first time out to make the right impression. And D, it's a great tool for measuring and improving yourself systematically. Step number 4, sing your rhythms. This is such a powerful way of learning new rhythms. Make the rhythm into a mantra that completely captivates your conscious mind. Almost all traditional cultures teach you to sing the rhythm. If you can sing it, it won't be long before you can play it. Step number 5, practice in front of a mirror. This is an incredibly powerful and somewhat magical way to improve your playing. You can notice strange ways the body is expressing tension or an out-of-balance posture or tense facial expressions. If you're working with a video of a good teacher, set a mirror up next to the video monitor facing you so that you can watch the video and then check your posture and technique against the posture and technique of the teacher. Step number 6, set a practice schedule and stick to it. It doesn't matter what time of day you play. However, your body will respond the best if you choose the same time each day to train. I find that mornings, right after a cup of caffeine, is a fantastic time to practice. Caffeine and drumming equals perfect. Make your practice sessions important enough to be a sacred time slot reserved only for your drumming. But don't limit your practicing to your scheduled practice sessions. Make practice dates with other serious frame drummers, and if you find more time to play, use it. Got an extra 5 minutes? Just grab a drum and fill it full of rhythms. And that brings us to the next step. Step number 7, keep your drums right near you, easily accessible. Don't pack them away in their cases. Put one in every room you spend time in. The walls are the perfect places, just not over a heat vent or in the sun. Even if you only have 5 minutes, pick it up and play. I had a long hallway in one of the houses I lived in, and the walls were covered with drums. It was like a tunnel of frame drums. I often stopped on my way to another room, took down a drum, and played for 5 minutes. I listened to an interview with the comedian and serious banjo player, Steve Martin, where he talked about keeping a banjo in every room. He said if he had to walk to another room to get his banjo, he might not do it. But if it was right in sight, he picked it up more often. Step number 8, record your practice. If you really want to know how you're doing, record your practice session as you play along with the metronome. And then the next test is to video yourself. My karma was that almost every performance that Glenn Velez and I did in the early to late 80s was videotaped. I remember clearly the first time I watched myself on video. We had filmed a cable TV show, and when we were playing, I thought I was grooving. But when I watched it, I saw that my eyes were closed, my mouth was hanging open, I was sort of stomping my foot to keep time. I looked like Lorraine Newman playing a junkie. Well, that started an intense training of my whole body, mind, and spirit playing that continues to this day. People always comment on my smile as I play, and one very potent secret I discovered was that the more my mind-body smiled, the more my drumming projected the essence of smiling energy towards my listeners. A true way of sweetening your audience. Step number 9, read 5 Keys to Mastery, and then read it again and again. There's always room to improve, and this book shows you how to approach that mentally. I reread this book every year. The 5 Keys to Mastery by George Leonard. Number 1, he says, surrender to your passion. How can I describe the kind of person who is on a path to mastery? First, I don't think it should be so dead serious. I think you should understand the joy of it, the fun of it. Being willing to see just how far you can go is the self-surpassing quality that we human beings are stuck with. Evolution is a whole long story of mastery. It's being real. It's being human. It's being who we are. George Leonard. Number 2, he says, practice, practice, practice. I started Aikido at age 47 and got my first black belt at 52. In the process, I learned what this business of mastery is all about. For example, it once was thought that talent was absolutely important. The Greeks talk about this divine spark. That's why you can become great. But I've learned that practice is the magic formula. Practice will make you good at anything you do. And here's one of the insights I got after I wrote the book. We are practicing all the time. George Leonard. Number 3, he says, get a guide. What if you're practicing wrong? Then you get very good at doing something wrong. If we don't get good instruction, then we don't notice when it's a little out of round. Surrender yourself to your teacher. Now, that doesn't mean turn your life over to your teacher. You don't want a guru. You have to keep the autonomy within yourself. You are finally the ultimate authority of your own practice. The best teachers are those who model the whole thing. They give immediate feedback, it's generally positive, and they avoid lectures. George Leonard. Number 4, he says, visualize the outcome. You want to make it real and present in the realm of your consciousness. You don't say, I'm going to do such and such, because it's already happened. Now, is consciousness real? It exists, and it is very powerful. The idea is to have this mesh between your consciousness, your visualization, and the so-called material world. George Leonard. And number 5, he says, play the edge. There is a human striving for self-transcendence. It's part of what makes us human. With all of our flaws, we want to go a little bit further than we've gone before, and maybe even further than anyone else has gone before. So we want to play the edge. George Leonard. Back to the 12 steps. Number 10, deal with distractions. You need to train yourself to stay in time even while distractions are happening around you. Often something might go wrong in a piece while you are performing or recording, but you still have to stay on your part, be aware of the other musicians you're playing with, where they are on their parts, and adjust if you have to without falling out of time. Basically, this comes with rehearsing and performing with other players. But a young musician friend of mine started playing out on the streets, and he credits it with completely transforming his playing through developing his ability to concentrate and project musically through anything that was happening around him. And there is another way of thinking about distractions, those distracting habits that keep us from practicing and from carrying through on our projects. It's always easy to find things we have to do and do those things first and hope for time to practice later. Oh, how easy it is to sit down at the computer and have hours disappear. Step number 11, exercise and dance. If you don't die young, you're gonna get old. So exercise. You won't be able to play with the speed of a 20 or 30-something-year-old when you're 60, but you can gain great mastery of your feel and the flow of your energy through your hands, out through your instrument, and on out into the world. If each sound is infinite and endless, then every sound you make is echoing out there in the universe forever. I'm going to read that again. If each sound is infinite and endless, then every sound you make is echoing out there in the universe forever. That should make you think about every sound you make. I have found practicing yoga and qigong are the best forms of exercise for maintaining overall health, and particularly for keeping my hands and arms injury-free. Actually, drumming has become a form of qigong for me. I've even worked with my teacher to help me channel the qi while I'm drumming. And another great way to stay in shape, dance. Especially you males out there, I'm talking to you. Don't give me this, I don't dance, I drum. In Brazil, all drummers dance. And just because you might play classical Western music doesn't mean that fully integrating your mind-body rhythmically is something perhaps beneath your serious approach to music. We all need an hour a day of aerobic exercise to keep our health. You might not think it at 20, but the older you get, it becomes a necessity. Forget just getting the groove in your body. Get it into your entire being. When you play, you should be an expression of total rhythm. My favorite dance workout videos are Brazilian, but there are Middle Eastern, Bollywood, and anything that has a killer rhythmic groove and makes you sweat. There are shortcuts to happiness, and dancing is one of them, says Vicky Baum. Happy drummers are better drummers. And finally, step number 12, monitor heart rate. And just to put this out here now, start exploring your pulse rate and the rhythms and tempos you're playing with a heart rate monitor. This has been an amazing revelation for me. To maintain our health and ability to continue to play the frame drum at top physical levels, I'm recommending the book Younger Next Year, the latest info on the aging process and how to stay ahead of it by seriously exercising for the rest of our lives. It is the only way. And you reduce your chances of cancer, heart attacks, strokes, and other diseases by 50%. This is my main anti-cancer routine at this time. Get your heart rate monitor and this book and go. Don't get put off by the bestsellerish title. It really is a powerful book. Thanks to frame drummer and great source of wisdom on collaboration, Liz Williams, for putting me onto this. And the key to making this program work is getting your heart rate monitor. Really, I'm dead serious on this. Develop your relationship with your pulse. It has been a revelation to tune into the different states of my heartbeat and how I feel during those states. Drummers, you get this, right? You can start monitoring your pulse rate while you're playing different rhythms at different tempos and explore how that makes you feel. It will change everything about your playing.